Welcome to another week of Network Roundtable. And our roundtable has become a triangle this week. Because, yeah, our anti-stress dude is de-stressing. And my sister Sherry is in Canada visiting my mom. Wow. Don't know where that came from a second time. To another week of...
Oh, there's a replay. In play.
Yeah, where are we replaying here? Is that on my end or your end?
That's not me.
Not me.
Yeah, our whoa. Our anti-stress dude. Yeah, we got multiple replays. So this week, the guy who claims he's an HOA producer is going to show you how to totally mess up a Hangout on Air. The best way to go about doing that is to open YouTube just before the show and press play for a video that's not yet live. It pretty much guarantees you that about a minute into your show, it'll start playing. Yeah, way to go, Dennis. All right. So, Sherry's visiting my sister, or my mom, in Canada, and yet my mom has the internet. So, Sherry, you get one of these. Okay, you don't. That's the one you get. I'm just saying, Sher. Love you, but yeah, you should have been here. And Gina, her internet went down. And because she's in the Caribbean, well, she sent me an email from her phone saying, yeah, believe it or not, her phone's actually a BlackBerry. I didn't know they still existed, but in third world countries they do. Yeah, she sends me an email and says, yeah, can you call me? And we do it by phone? Okay, it costs 29 cents a minute to call Gina by phone. So, G, I also love you because you're also my sister, but not for an hour. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Love ya. Get your internet fixed. They'll be here in 3 or 4 days. So there's our intro to this week's show. We have Alexandra coming to us she's from SEO Wise. She's the glass in the class lady. She's making me jealous because she's got her glass on, and I'm just geeking out. I so want a pair. Because I don't know what you guys think, but I'm thinking a pair of glass with the hats. Really good look.
Yes.
Kill it.
Very stylish.
I think Google should give me a pair of glass simply because they go so well with my hats. And, you know, if I was sent an invite email, I think that's what I'd say. You know, what am I going to do when I explore with glass? I'm going to wear them as a fashion statement. What do you think? Alex, you went through the process. You think they're going to say yes?
I wish they would. You know, I tried after I got them, after I purchased them, I got so many comments like, oh, you make those look good. I wrote, well, I was like, you know, I make them look good. Why give me my $1,600 back? That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, looks like Gina made it.
Gina.
Hey!
Okay, who the heck is Sandra Widgemaflobby, and how on earth did you get here on... Anyway, wow. I was about to block you before I knew who you were, Gina. But...
Well, thank you for not blocking me, and you can help me fix that at a different time, but not now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, seeing that I gave you one of these earlier in the intro, and you made it in from the Caribbean, you're now getting one of these. And you're getting one of these.
Thank you.
And now, because I'm so funny, we get one of these and one of these. Okay.
And we have to take away Dennis's sound effects, or no one's going to talk the whole show.
That sounds like a great show. The entire show is Dennis playing with sound effects. What do you guys think?
I like it.
Away? We'll work on it.
Yeah.
So sorry, Alex. You had no idea what you were in for here.
Yeah,
I know, but that'd be fun. It would be like, I don't know, like a silent movie, but not with words, you know? It's just with sound effects. You have to communicate with sound effects.
Oh, that could be cool. That could be a
Ooh.
great experiment. I love it.
I love it too.
I'm just, back to things that Google needs to do besides send me a pair of glass. Google needs to have more sound effects or have the ability to add your own sound effects into your Hangout. Otherwise, that show would be really boring because there's only 12 sound effects.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty creative.
You would. And I need some silence because I think this would be the sound of the audience after about 10 minutes.
Dennis.
Okay, so we are going to be talking movement today, and our first half of our show is inspiration and motivation, and we usually get that from Sherry, who comes with a wonderful quote that we all talk about. And then we usually get some idea of how to deal with stress from I'm muting you because you got a lot of cool Caribbean people talking in the background. So you unmute yourself whenever you want to talk. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to screen share up what was emailed to me by my partners in crime. They are in the comments, but here is Sherry's quote. Get ready for this. I love this quote, by the way, but I do have something I want to point out about it. I'm a little scared for the fish. Sherry's quote, life begins at the end of your comfort zone, so do one thing every day that scares you. Okay, I gotta say, that fish is dead.
You don't think he's gonna make it?
I rode BMX, skateboards, and I raced dirt bikes in high school. I know all about airborne trajectory. He's dead. Okay? But that's not the point of this amazing quote. It's not. I love the quote. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone, so do one thing every day that scares you. What do you guys think about that? Tell me what your thoughts. And not all at once.
I was trying to be nice and let Alex go first because
That's so funny. I was like, I'll let the veterans go first.
Oh, you go first, Alex.
Okay. I love the idea of it. I am one to take risks. I mean, I've moved like 3 times in my life. I travel a lot. I get restless easily. I've had more jobs than I can count at the ripe age of 24. So I'm all about doing things that are terrifying. I think doing one a day might be stretching it a bit. Maybe I'm thinking like too scary. Maybe I'm thinking too big. Like maybe it's just little things that scare you. Like I'll eat some spinach today, even though it scares me. I don't know, but I don't know. Like,
are you scared of spinach?
I'm not. I actually have a really ridiculous fear that I don't like to talk about. It's not spinach. I just don't like spinach. But like I'll blend it into a smoothie or something.
I gotta say that would be Top Jimmy approved.
Yes.
If you know what Top Jimmy is, then you understand. If you don't, well, Top Jimmy is James Williams, our certified personal trainer that's part of this show. So Top Jimmy approved means something is good for your body.
Well, yes, that's why. I know spinach is really good for me. I hate it. I don't like I'm a texture person with my food. I don't like the texture of it. So I'll blend it into smoothies, can't taste it. Texture's fine. That's how I get my daily dosage of spinach. But it's scary, to blend spinach. Like, you never know how it's going to turn out. So maybe that's the scary part of my day. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we might have to push you on this other thing that you, this other phobia you have.
Oh my gosh.
You were the one that brought it up live.
I know. I get made fun of for it by all my friends all the time. It's a real phobia. I looked it up online, okay? So I'm not like that weird. There are other weirdos out there. I have a phobia of cotton balls. I can't touch them. I can't touch them. I can't be around them. Like, when I get a new, like, I don't know, like more Advil, they have the thing that I need someone to take it out for me. I can't do it.
Alex, have you thought about tweezers? Tweezers
that's
work
my backup. Like, if no one's there,
right.
But I can like feel it's again a texture thing. That's why I feel like cotton balls lie. They look fluffy, but when you touch them, they're not fluffy. So like I can feel it through the tweezers, but it's not as bad. So my backup plan is tweezers.
Maybe and a glove. Tweezers and a glove.
There we go. There we go.
So how do you open your Advil with tweezers and a glove? Doesn't everyone?
Duh.
No,
yeah.
I think it's really cool that you admitted it already.
It's the first step, Alex.
The first step's recovery. The second is exposure, isn't it? That's the step I want to avoid.
My favorite part of your description was I think they're liars, because for my entire life I have said that chocolate chip or that raisins are liars. To me, they're the most dishonest thing of anything, because across the room, inside cookies, they look like chocolate chips. And how freaking dishonest is that? I'm just saying. So I love that you call cotton ball liars.
It's always been my flyers and the world not being fair. Those are the two things that that's the heart of Alex since I was like 5 years old, and I could grasp those concepts.
Well, I'm totally with you on the world not being fair, but I just to let you know, the universe works in mysterious ways, because I now have 3 children who all insist that the world is not fair. So when you're a kid, it's really great because you're the only one who's saying it, but when you're a parent, it kind of stinks. So. Even if you agree with them, because you can't agree with all 3 of them, right? Because then it's not fair.
Hey, I got 8, and you know what? It's not fair. Like,
life is not.
Suck it up. I don't want to hear it. It's not fair.
Yep. Cool. Well, I think that.
When did I promise you it was going to be fair? That's what I really want to know. Just say.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing that maybe Sherry was talking about in the quote is, like Alex was trying to say, what you need to do is you need to have some little things that scare you that you do, and then from time to time you take on the big thing that scares you. But saying that you're afraid of cotton balls on an HOA, for example, you've done your fear thing for the day. You're good, Alex. You're done.
You're covered.
You can be excused.
Yeah. Tomorrow you have to open Advil live on an HOA though.
Oh my God, that would be like at first my thought is like that would be the most boring HOA ever, and then I'm like, no, it would probably be really entertaining for everybody to watch me struggle to open up a bottle of Advil.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking that you might have to go on either Lightning Pawn or Jerk's Corner. Those 2 shows are just weird enough that opening a bottle would fit right in. So we'll be talking to Kirk and Ryan about it.
Great. I'll look for a new bottle of Advil.
Okay, Gina, any thoughts on doing scary things? Miss, yeah, Dennis, I'm going to move to a third world country for the heck of it.
Yeah, I think that doing scary things is a very important part of our learning. And I think that's how we grow, is by taking the reins by the hands and saying, I'm going to do this. And people are like, woo-hoo. But anyways, you do it anyways, cotton balls or not. You just do it because it's an important part of growing and learning. And I think it's a great idea to take a scary thing and do it every single day. One little scary thing if you want, or take giant strides like I do and do big scary things. But anyways, it helps you grow and become a better person, a more responsible business person, because you come with a background of experience. So not only have you done it, but you've done the scary things too. So next time the scary things come up, it's not that scary.
Yeah, it's interesting too. We had Lee Rickler in the audience who says you've got to take risks, or one, you'll become boring, and two, you'll never learn anything. so I'm all for that.
Think as I'm looking at that is that Lee's picture is like he's shooting you, but he's got like 2 fingers up. I think Lee should make it common practice to break everything down into 1 and 2 things you do. Because as soon as, anyway, that's, okay, hi Lee. That's what I picked up on, for what it's worth. Yeah, we've got some great comments going on, though, in the audience. Holy cow. Jessica Maynard, I like it. Scary can be awesome. Yes, let's take baby steps. Jan Beckman. Maybe a mixture. Let's see. Kristen Drysdale. Alex, you are such a cute little baby head. I had no idea you were such a young'un. You go, girl.
I don't know how I should feel about that. Does that mean I look old?
I don't know. How could being a baby head mean you look old?
I don't know. I had no idea you were such a youngin'.
I'm only guessing that she's doing the same thing I do, which is assuming that everybody on the Plus that is doing Hangouts is over 40. I have no idea why, but like really. So yeah. And especially doing them successfully, like Glass in the Class, you know? I mean, you're killing it, and you definitely are outside the demographic.
Okay. Good defense, Dennis. I'll take it.
Kristen, I got your back.
In the best way possible, I'm sure she meant that. I know Kristen, and I can assure you, she meant it in a great way.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Okay. Oh, my other hat-wearing friend, Ronaldo Miguel. Hola. I don't know if you speak Spanish, but with a name like that, hola anyway. My 3-year-old already says, no chocolate. Dad, that's not fair.
That's a smart child.
Yes.
You know, let me tell you, when I was in Italy, how surprising, Dennis is getting off on a storytelling tangent. When I was in Italy, I had my 7-month-old baby in my backpack, on my back, and for the first time ever, I gave him something chocolate. Italian chocolate ice cream. Is there anything finer in the world? And he spit it all over the back of my head. And I did it again, and he couldn't even speak. He spit it all over the back of my head the second time. So then my wife, and I was not very happy about this, decided to try and get him to eat her strawberry. I'm like, I've already been spit on twice. He doesn't like Italian ice cream. Totally good with the strawberry.
It was just the chocolate?
Because he's 14. He hates chocolate, turns out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't have the same problem as Ronaldo is where I'm going with that. My 3-year-old was not telling me that it's not fair.
Has he tried all forms of chocolate?
Oh, yeah. Well, he likes that stuff that really isn't chocolate. That white stuff.
Oh,
that fake chocolate?
White chocolate-like confection. Read the small print. Yeah, nasty stuff. He likes that.
Awful.
So does Cheryl. It's her favorite. And Cheryl, there had to be something I didn't like about you. Because everything else is...
All right. I don't want to make anyone jealous, but my next door neighbor has cocoa trees, and he makes homemade chocolate, and it is fantastic. So, anyways, if you've ever tried chocolate like that, you won't want Hershey's chocolate again. All right, once again, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, that's not the only cool thing she's got going on. Mango trees growing in her yard and all sorts of other exotic fruits. And then, this is the cool one. This is the cool one, in my opinion anyway. My dad's birthday was in early November. He died in early February. And for his funeral, she couldn't make it up here. So she had a bouquet of, Gina, help me unmute yourself. What was the bouquet of? Those Christmas flowers. She's still
Poinsettias?
Poinsettias.
Poinsettias.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
poinsettias.
But then her neighbor, is it the same one that has the chocolate plants? Probably. Planted these, and now they grow, but poinsettias flower from November to the end of January. So the time frame between my dad's birthday and his death is flowering in her yard every. I'm sorry, that's like super geeky cool for me. All right.
And they're 4 feet tall now. Yeah, they're not just little bushes down here. They're trees.
Yeah, we give them all sorts of chemicals to make them short like they are here, but yeah. Leave it to America to put chemicals and stuff, right? Okay, so our quote this week, I'm going to screen share again, and maybe I am, if Google lets me. Our quote this week from our How to Stay Out of Stress this is from James. Spend more time with your family. Another way of boosting your mental well-being is to enjoy more family-friendly activities, whether playing a board game, day tripping, or cooking with your kids. A supportive family environment will make you appreciate the simple pleasures in life more readily. So think twice before saying yes to that overtime and enjoy some quality family fun time. All right, so here's the thing that I want to quote, or I want to point out before we start really talking about this. The reason James isn't here, he's spending time with his family. How freaking cool is that? Way to teach by example, James. Anyway, so thoughts on de-stressing via spending time with your family?
I think it's totally true. Unfortunately, I'm currently in Ohio to do my, unfortunate for many reasons. I know Ohio is dangerous. To do my graduate schooling, and I literally have no family here. I have made a couple of friends, but I literally moved here without knowing anybody or any. I spent a week in Ohio, and I was like, all right, guess I'm moving to Ohio. So I don't have the luxury of de-stressing that way, but I do have a different kind of family. I have my fur babies, and they definitely are my de-stressors. Absolutely. So I do think it's true, and I think if you don't have a family, make your own, because there are so many puppies out there that need homes, or cats. If you're a cat person, that's cool. We can get along. It's okay.
What if you have both?
Then you're just hashtag winning.
Hashtag winning. Yeah, I have a Great Dane. The main reason I have a Great Dane is so that he can bathe my cats. Because he's pretty convinced that's his lifelong job. Anyway.
He's just a big sweetie, Dennis. You know that.
He is. And he's a huge sweetie. Yeah. We're talking about you, puppy. Oh, here he comes.
Of course.
Okay, talk about spending time with family. So he comes over here.
Yeah, and I guess it's interesting because what is the part of spending time with family that actually helps you de-stress? Is it the fact that you're not focusing on the problem, that you actually have to get out of whatever it is that's causing your stress? And when you focus on your family and something that brings you joy, that actually is able to help you take a step back, right? And to understand that okay, this thing I thought was a huge monumental problem is not quite as big as I thought, and now that I've taken a step back from it, maybe I've got another couple of ideas about how to approach it instead of just getting totally stuck and saying, oh, I don't know what to do. So I think that it's interesting that Alex talked about, make your own family or kind of find your own way. Everybody has a way or multiple ways that help them get that feeling. This notion of, okay, let me take a step back and kind of refresh myself or get out of the midst of the problem so that I can come back and address it when I'm in a better frame of mind. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a little movement in there. Given that we're supposed to talk about movement today, I'm like, there's some movement somewhere in there.
Well, I like it. And speaking of movement, I've moved to a foreign country. And, of course, I do not have any relatives here. I think family is what you make it. So I have, well, actually, they pretty much adopted me. I have 3 furry babies, all dogs, no cats. And I have friends around here. And for down here, that's my family. Of course, I can talk to my family online and stuff, but that's what I have for family down here. So family is what you make it. So if you're in, Alex, if you're in, wherever you move for grad school.
Ohio.
Ohio, but yeah, okay. You still can have a family around you, and that would be the people that you become friends with, that you're close with, that you can share things with, like your phobia of cotton balls. And that's your family. So keep in touch with your family, your blood relatives. But I found that I make the most of, well, I'm sitting here at a good friend's restaurant. You don't know how much it took to get online today. There was 4 friends, family members, I had to call to try and see if anyone was home so I could use their internet. So now I'm at a friend's restaurant. And this is my family. I've known him for 14 years, and that's my family. So that's what I think about family. Yes,
well,
you.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because, when we talk about family and it having a role in helping us reduce our stress, is it the nature of the relationship? In other words, is it the fact that you can just kind of be yourself that helps you de-stress, so it doesn't have to be family necessarily, it's just someone that you feel comfortable enough with to maybe let out the problem or to say, hey, I'm really bummed out about this today, can you sit with me for a few minutes and talk about it? And I get what James was saying. I'm not saying family's not important, but maybe it's that we need that sort of safe place where we can just say, I'm really having a crap day. Have you got 5 minutes? Or, have you got a place? Would you come have coffee with me? And that, in and of itself, helps us relieve the stress because we're able to share what's bugging us and, get it out. I've stunned everyone into silence.
I'm just laughing about Lee. Lee has decided that every post in this HOA is going to have 2 points.
Well, he told you that earlier, Dennis. He did say, this is for you.
Yeah, and I saw that. Way to go, Lee. Way to keep it deuce. I mean real. See what I did there? Anyway. All right, so it's time for the second half hour. Poor Alexandra doesn't even know what's going on here because this HOA is not like most. The second half hour of our show is all about education. So we're going to talk movement for the next half hour. A little less because we started late and we're running over a bit, but we're going to talk about movement until the end of the show. So, let's keep the jokes, clean, because movement.
Dennis,
wait,
nobody thought
I already broke that rule, didn't I?
I feel like you threw that in for yourself. Like you're like, remind myself.
Yeah, I think that. Can you write that on a Post-it note the next time, Dennis? Nobody was going there until you said it.
No, you were close, Alexandra. What you don't know yet about me, but you will learn fairly quickly, is I am absolutely and utterly convinced that I'm the funniest person alive. I have believed this for 45 years, and I'm cognizant that I'm the only person in the world that believes this, and that nobody else thinks I'm funny, but man, I crack myself up. So, okay, let's try and be serious, though, about movement. And Stephanie, you were the one that picked movement. I had set things up so that Alexandra was going to be here, but you picked movement based on her profile. What was it that made you go, that's the word for the week?
Well, there's a couple of things, because I was thinking about the fact that we always try to do something physical with James. We always try to do, he shows us a stretch or he shows us some kind of physical thing we can do to relieve stress. So I was thinking physical movement. When I read on your profile, I already kind of had that in my mind. But then you were talking about wanting to start a movement. In your profile, that's one of the things that you say. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool because, it can have so many different meanings, the notion of the word movement, but it can always be this notion of trying to get better, of trying to make things better. And I just kind of wanted to hear about your movement as well. I wanted to hear the movement that you want to start and how it's going and, what it is that made you want to start a movement. And the other thing for business owners, to me, the connection that I made is I'm very passionate about trying to help the people that I see as my clients. And I kept thinking, to me, I'm like, well, that's just passion, whatever. If I took it more seriously and I said, I really want to start a movement to educate these people, that's my mission, my goal, whatever, would that help me succeed more? If I took it in a more serious way on myself, would that improve my chances of success? So.
Yeah, it is a great word. As someone with my bachelor's degree is in English literature, so words are where I started. The movement that I'm talking about is the movement that we hear David Amerlin talking about all the time, and it's that movement towards transparency. It's that movement towards authenticity online, which has really been my primary interest in studying communication in my master's degree, is studying authenticity online, because up until now, and even in the research that has been done in online communication, there's very little that indicates that authenticity is actually here, that it's actually present, that the majority of people online are communicating authentically and believe that others are communicating authentically. So that was originally that was my movement. The further I get into the education space, my movement changes a little bit, or I do another movement alongside of it. I just want to change everybody. I don't know what it is, but I'm interested in the movement of getting technology into classrooms, thus Glass in the Class. I see a lot of teachers and a lot of professors banning technology from classes rather than trying to incorporate it into their classes, and I think it's extremely beneficial to introduce students to technology alongside anything else that they're learning and understanding and doing, because I think that it could create a movement of people better understanding the use of technology for communication, which most of our technologies start as something else, but we end up using them for communication purposes. So you're right, I have a lot of movement in my life. I really do. And I also work out a lot, so I appreciate that side of movement too. It is a great word, though. Good choice.
Thank you. I just have a question, and I know I cut you off, Dennis, but you'll get a turn. I have a question for you. In the research that you're looking at, do you think that part of the reason that authenticity is not coming through is because for a while, kind of the model of paid advertising being part of the communication, social media landscape has created so much noise that the people who are small business owners or whatever just aren't getting through? Or do you think it's that small business owners or other individuals are genuinely inauthentic There's an interesting phrase.
A dangerous phrase. You know, there are so many reasons why authenticity isn't expected on the web and through, we call it computer-mediated communication, and it really stems down to there are multiple aspects of the way that we communicate, and we generally divide them into nonverbal communication and verbal communication. Verbal communication obviously is any of the words we produce, anything written is verbal communication, and then our nonverbals obviously are like facial expressions or body movement. And throughout history, throughout research, we've seen that people trust nonverbals more than they trust verbal communication. It can be a cultural thing, but in general, we tend to, you know, if someone says something and their nonverbal doesn't agree with it, we trust the nonverbal more than we trust the verbal. Going through communication through a computer-mediated context, blogs, any sort of, you know, Facebook, Twitter, anything like that, it's all verbal communication. So we've kind of accepted this idea that people are being inauthentic because we couldn't see their nonverbals, we couldn't see them. And then, of course, we have, you know, a lot of Twitter accounts, they're completely bogus. Not many of them are verified. So that just kind of increases this lack of trust. So a lot of it goes towards that we haven't been able to see the nonverbals. And then we have this thing called Hangouts, which is a whole new ball game. But a lot of that hasn't been studied. And people that have studied different types of media use, they didn't study Hangouts, but they studied, I think it's called FaceTime. It's a lot like Hangouts. Most people won't use FaceTime unless they have a strong relationship with someone. So it's not like Hangouts, like we just met. That's not how it usually works. People will use different types of media based on how well they know someone. So I know my sister really well, so I call her, I text her, we talk on Facebook, I just made her a Plus account. We communicate in all these different mediums. The less that you know someone, the weaker the tie that you have to someone, you're more likely to use only one channel. Again, going back to trust. So to think about the development of trust and authenticity online, it's probably going to take a lot longer than we expect it to, but most movements do anyway. So I hope that answered your question. I feel like I went off on just like this huge tangent.
No, that was great, and I guess, yeah, I could talk about this all day. Sorry, Dennis, you're still not going to get in. It's my turn again.
That's all right. Tangents are my specialty, so you're okay on this.
Okay. So I have a question, because things like Skype, right, or, you know, FaceTime's relatively recent, but things like GoToMeeting, or there have been kind of these video conferencing capabilities that have existed for a while. You know, I mean, even back, you know, when I was in the corporate world, you know, even in the late 90s, we had the ability to video conference with people, but it didn't seem like that necessarily made the communication any better. Do you think maybe that experience of it was expensive, it was hard to use, and people didn't really feel like they got better info is what led to people just saying, it's okay, I'll just stick with the text because it's not worth the effort? Or do you think that there was something else going on?
It totally could be that. It could also be, I don't study organizational communication. They're basically like their own field, often the netherworlds of organizations. But I think it could also be the context. A lot of times with communication, we have to consider context. And when we consider a business context, we are generally much more aware of our nonverbals. We're much more aware of the message that we're communicating. Whereas, you know, if it's just two people meeting, even if you meet someone random, you know, if someone sits down next to you in a bus and you start talking to them, you don't think a lot about the nonverbals you're sending. You don't think a lot about the message you're sending because they're just someone, you know, they're just someone that you met. They're, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, let's just have a conversation. I think it could be the context of these used to be used for business purposes, and a lot of businesses felt like they had to fit this kind of business persona, and a lot of the employees felt that. So I think that they generally stuck to those. It could also, but it could also be a technology thing. You know, they're like, this is too complicated. I don't want to deal with this. I'll just send you an email, because email does it does tend to be easier, and now we're moving to text, which is easier. So I don't know exactly what it could be, but my initial guess would be context.
Okay. Well, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because what really happens in those situations, if I think about it, is you're not being 100% you, right? You're putting on a show because you know you're supposed to impress your boss or the client or whatever it is. So you're not being 100% you. So clearly it's not going to come across as authentic because it's not designed to be authentic.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Dennis, your turn.
You know, I like to. We hear all this talk about authenticity, and you even read some of the articles about how to be authentic, and it's like, okay, here's how you act authentic.
Right. It's just crazy, really.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
it's so ironic.
Yeah.
Here's a list of 10 ways to be authentic.
How to be a real human being.
You know, we can't. You can't do it. You can't act authentic. You either are or you aren't. You know, and if you don't know who you are, you aren't authentic. And I think most people don't know who they are enough to even be able to be authentic. You know, they have spent their life trying to be somebody else, to emulate somebody else's success, to be like somebody else, and they just have confused themselves completely. And I think it's important for us to figure out, who am I? What am I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you a question. Do you think that it's that they don't know who they are, or that they're not comfortable and they're trying to be something else? Because you may know deep down who you are, but you feel that that's not socially acceptable or whatever, and so you don't act in a way that's true to yourself, which creates all kinds of other problems too, but in this particular case would give you this inauthentic impression to everybody else as well, I think. I don't know. It's an interesting question, because it's a question to me of, is it acceptance or is it lack of knowledge?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I talk a lot about the education space, and one of the things that I've noticed, most of my students, they're at the age of 18, a great age of figuring out who you are. And the interesting thing to see is that a lot of them weren't ever really encouraged to figure out who they are. A lot of them come into my classroom expecting me to talk at them about what communication is and what it means, and then they leave. And a lot of times at the end of the semester, they have to do an activity, and the activity is, what are 3 things that you're taking away from this class? What are 3 things that you'd like to know more about? And time again, a lot of my students write, because they feel much more comfortable writing it in an activity rather than saying it to my face, which is fine, I'm cool with it. But a lot of them write, I learned about how I communicate. I learned about who I am and how that affects how I communicate. And that is more, and after that they say, I know that wasn't really the point of this course, but that's what I learned. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point of this course. I don't want you to memorize what nonverbal means. I don't want you to memorize what verbal communication means. The fact that you're taking away who you are from this class is way more important than any of that could be. But that they're writing down, oh, that's not what I was supposed to learn, that makes me wonder if that's what we're telling them throughout life. Like, that's not the point of education. You're not supposed to figure out who you are. Just learn these facts and then keep going. So I think that it could be a little bit of both. I think that It's that they don't understand who they are, and we've never encouraged them to, once they do understand who they are, we've never encouraged them to explore that part of them. So I think it could be a little bit of both, but I think that it is a good point to bring up, Dennis, and I think it's hilarious. Like, anytime anyone is like, here's the 10 ways to be authentic, clearly they're the most authentic being on the internet, clearly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just but I think you bring up an interesting point there, Stephanie. I think, like Alexandra said, I think it's a matter of a little of both. The not quite sure who you are is a piece of it, but afraid to put that out there is, another piece of it. And I mean, how do you even overcome that kind of fear? I don't understand that kind of fear, because I've been right from the 80s. I mean, I've said this before on Hangouts on Air. I was Ducky on steroids, which is a reference to Pretty in Pink, okay? And anyone that looks at me this very second is not surprised at all. But I have always been just who I am. But if that's, and I think that was largely how my parents brought me up, but if that's not the way you interpret life, I mean, it's one thing to say just figure out who you are and be that. If that's your hang-up about being authentic, I think that one's easier to change than you're not happy with who you are.
Right. Or you're embarrassed or afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's harder, I think.
I think that one's harder to overcome. So, any thoughts on how you overcome them? That's what I thought.
Well, I mean, I think that's where some of the things that we've talked about with James, and some of the things that we try to say to business owners, kind of in the context of this show, go easy on yourself, understand that you're going to make mistakes, try to put things in context, try to find a way to reduce your stress in those moments of crisis, and it's not that you can't take it personally, it's your business, it's your life, but put it in perspective. Realize that, yes, along the way there's going to be times when I stumble, there's going to be times when things don't go the way I'd like them to, but that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make my business a bad idea. It just means that I'm going to learn from it. There's an interesting book, and now I've forgotten, maybe I can find the name of it, and I'll put it in. Oh, it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I've been talking about this book forever. But basically, it talks about this notion that there are people who have the idea that you just get a certain amount of something. Like, you're born and you get a certain amount of smarts. You're born and you get a certain amount of ability to be outgoing or connect with people. A certain amount of beauty, a certain amount of sports talent or whatever. That's what she calls the fixed mindset. And then there's people who believe that whatever you have, you can always make it better. You can always make progress. Maybe you don't have a lot of sports talent, but if you go out and you start running, well, you're going to get better. You still may not run a marathon, but you're going to get better. You're going to make progress. And she used it in the education realm. She talked a lot about education, and Paul Tuff as well wrote a book about that. But they both kind of came to the same conclusion. If you can get yourself into that growth mindset where this is not, a limiting factor. The fact that I don't know the answer to this question on the test doesn't mean that I'm dumb. It just means I need to look for the answer. I didn't know this answer, I'll go and get it. People who are able to do that seem to have an easier time succeeding in school and business and in life, apparently, than people who really, really, truly believe this is the limit, here's the box and I'm inside it, and that's all there is for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that a part of developing that mindset has a lot to do with your environment. part of what I try, I mean, I am the public speech teacher. I'm that person that like 90% of students are terrified of, because they have to give speeches in my class in front of their classmates, and it can be that when you first walked in, it feels like a very judgmental space, because you're like, I'm going to stand in front of these 26 other people and they're going to judge me. So I have always worked that much harder to make it a very safe environment for them, because I know they're walking in the door fearing that judgment, and I feel like creating that safe environment where it's okay to be you, it's okay to explore who you are, and no one in this room is going to judge you for that, and if they do, they are going to have to deal with me. Having that space, I think, really makes a difference. It can really help to grow that kind of mindset that allows you to explore who you are. But I think you're right. There are a lot of people that are stuck in this box of, and I've dealt with it with my sister a lot. She's always been like, oh, I'm the pretty one, you're the smart one, and she's never thought that she was intelligent. She almost finished a master's degree in public health education. She decided it wasn't for her, so she stopped. It wasn't because she wasn't smart enough, she just didn't like it. So I think that once you get past that box, once you get past that mindset, I think you're golden for figuring out who you are and what you want in life.
Okay, I'm going to take a wild stab at the comment that your sister says to you all the time. I'm only guessing, but I would guess that if you looked at the world in the way she does, you might feel like that was a very backhanded comment. And yet, I didn't see that at all from you. And in fact, your entire look at that comment was, well, that's not true what you're saying. I mean, am I picking up on something here that's core to a difference in outlook between the two of you?
We have, I mean, we're very, very similar. We're only 17 months apart. She's like my best friend. But she has always, something that she always struggled with was her appearance, and she always felt like that was the one thing that she had in life. She always felt like the one thing that she could ever offer the world was to stand there and look pretty. And we've gone through a lot to figure out why it is that she came out thinking that, why she thinks that way. But we trying to figure out where it started isn't helping us. What helped her, and I was a huge part of the process because I'm the one person that she's always trusted in life. What really helped us get past it was just trying to figure out how she could feel like she had something else to offer. And it didn't help us to figure out what the source was necessarily. It helped us to really just push, okay, just take this one more class and see how you feel about it. And really that positive reinforcement really helped her get past that part in her life. And I mean, it manifested itself in many ways. She's dealt with every eating disorder under the sun. It's just, it was always an issue for her, and she's finally in a place right now where she doesn't think like that. She thinks that she's getting her personal training degree. She has found a way to make health an interest rather than her exterior beauty. I think it is a difference in mindset, and I don't know why I came out the way I did and she came out the way that she did, but I think what matters is that we were able to change it.
Yeah. Oh, that's even bigger than where I was going with it. That's actually deserves one of these.
Yeah, that's amazing too that she had someone. That's we're talking about your class and then talking about your experience with your sister. I think you're so right that people need a place where they can just be. If they don't know who they are, they can try to find out who they are, and if they know who they are but they're afraid of it, they can just be who they are. They need that really safe place. And sorry, I'm going to get on the soapbox, but that to me is one of the hugest benefits of G+, is that you're able here to find people who genuinely, they live somewhere else, like Utah, for example.
And that is a weird place to live.
And that is a weird place to live. Almost as strange as Arizona. You're almost as weird as we are here. But
almost.
We're each weird in our own ways, but we're able to connect and to meet those people who, in quote, real life, we never would have had an opportunity to meet, but we're able to form those bonds and take those risks with this kind of community supporting us, saying, hey, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. Give it a shot, you'll see what happens, and we're still here and we still like you. So go for it.
By the way, isn't the whole east side of Phoenix actually just officially a county of the state of Utah? That's a population joke. You got to know the east side of Phoenix to get the joke. But.
Yes, I know. I know the east side of Phoenix. If you guys have worked out your special thing, we're fine with it. If you want to annex, it's okay. Go ahead. Totally up to you.
We don't need any part of Phoenix.
I was about to say, I'm not sure you'd want to take that on, my friend. That's not, because I have to say, it is a wonderful place, but like every other place, it has its quirks. You really have to take it for what it is. It's a package deal. Not just the east part of Phoenix, all of Arizona. And I love Arizona, and I'm very happy to live here, but, like anywhere, it's got good and bad.
I just want to say, don't ever get a ticket visiting Arizona. Any kind of ticket, you have to go back to the state to plea your case. So, yeah.
Well,
from personal experience, do not get a ticket.
Well, no, because everybody here just pays it or does defensive driving. Nobody here ever bothers to fight it, so.
Yeah, anyway.
But you know why that is, right, Dennis? Because we have the snowbirds. And so that's why they do that, is so that people who are only here for 3 months will just say, oh, but I'm not going to drive all the way back down here. Never mind, I'll just pay it. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing. I'm not a police officer, and I don't play one on TV. But that's what I'm guessing happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do the same thing in Hawaii, so don't worry about it.
Well, and most college towns, Austin, for example, is very similar in Texas because it's the same thing. They know that nobody's going to trek all the way back down to take care of it, so they just say that you have to come back. So anyway, sorry, that was a really weird segue.
Yeah, not quite sure how we got off there. I do want to point something out that I've been wanting to write a blog post. I've been too busy to write a blog post on this. It's only going to take me a minute and a half on here. Everybody who is out there using an Android phone, please be aware. They are rolling out a new Google Plus app. And when it rolls out on your phone, it immediately changes your photo backup to full size. Go change it back, or you're going to be paying through the nose for data storage. Was I clear enough? What do you think? Do you think the people got the message?
As an Android user, I think I got it.
Yeah. Also, as an Android user, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I need that data storage.
Yes, that is a very helpful tip. Thank you, Dennis.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I don't even know how I noticed that this week. I mean, I noticed, obviously, that the new rollout happened. I can't remember exactly. I just was like, oh, my gosh, they changed that back. And I have a couple of different Android devices, and I went and checked, and all of them had done the same thing when they updated. I'm like, all my friends on the Plus need to know this. Yep. Hey! My wife just walked in. Say hi, Cheryl, everybody.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
All right. So this was, Network Roundtable is always different. This was especially different. And we could go on easily for another hour on this subject. In fact, I wouldn't even mind, I don't know, Stephanie, what do you think? Continue movement in about a month and a half and bring Alexandra back if she's up for it?
I say yes. 2 thumbs up.
I would like to continue the conversation of movement. Alex, what do you say?
Always
Put
up.
it out there a while?
Always up for it, Dennis. Always up for it. I'd
Good
love
deal.
to. Thank you so much for having me this time.
No,
Well,
thanks for coming here. It's like we found out last week, we're two kindred spirits with the same desire for this platform, and I'm not sure if it's good or really scary for the rest of the world that we've now hooked up, but watch out, Dennis and Alex are coming.
Seriously, a little bit of both.
All right, so I'm going to close down this week's lightning round. Here's how lightning round works. We have a lot of new viewers this week, people who haven't come, and Alex, I'm pointing the finger at you. Thank you very much for bringing people with you. That was cool. Here's how lightning round works on Network Roundtable. Lightning round starts now, and historically, this was actually Alex's job, but we decided to make it the audience's job, even though our subject was movement. Every single week in the 26 weeks that we've been doing Network Roundtable, we've noticed that even though we don't pre-plan stuff and we don't communicate about this show during the week, some interesting little sub-subject comes up that ties the whole thing together. Something other than movement. So, start putting out your ideas, your thoughts. This is a conversation, so comment on each other's thoughts. It's always fun to see what happens from Lightning Round and what people got out of the show. So yeah, let us know what you saw that tied together the quote, tied together the stress relief idea, and tied in the conversation around movement, because I think there was another subject that kind of showed up in there. So, lightning round starts now. And isn't that exactly the same clock as 60 Minutes?
yes, but it's okay. You don't have to be Walter Cronkite.
Good, because I can't.
You look better with the hat, I have to say.
That's not hard. All right. So we are going to close out this week with another song from Bludgeon Muffin. When we were in the green room, Alex said, I gave her some choices on some of the bands from Bandwidth. She specifically wanted the reggae because of her coming originally from Hawaii. So this one is called Diversion, the Polyrasta version. So I think you're really going to like this, because the lead singer of Bludgeon Muffin is actually Polynesian, and so this particular song has kind of a blend of, the Caribbean, but it's got some Polynesian flair. So here we go, Diversion.